so we'll go ahead and get started. I know that some people will still be signing on and joining us in the course of the webinar. That we are recording this webinar so that if there's something else you wanted to listen to it, you can share it with them after. Hopefully I'll have that out to you by early tomorrow at the latest. We'll be sending out the slides as well for your reference, and previously emailed out this morning a copy of the work plan, which is what we're going to spend a bit of time going over today. The work plan that was distributed has a lot more detail than I'm going to cover in this webinar, but I am going to go over some of the various areas and hopefully leave some time for questions as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Thank you all so much for joining and committing to being part of the Rare Carousel of Possible Dreams. We have had 33 organizations register as of today, and people are straggling in. So we still have some organizations that are joining and letting them come in. So we're thrilled to have them. Your fundraising goals range from $25,000 to $50,000 for your different possible dreams. Makes a cumulative fundraising goal of over $1 million for rare disease. Sessions in advance for committing, and hopefully we'll be giving you big congratulations for all meeting those and exceeding those goals. The possible dreams include family meetups, scientific conferences, emergency preparedness days. So the items here listed on the slide. And I really was thrilled with the breadth of and the creativity of the different dreams, and also happy to welcome, we have a Canadian organization who has joined and some pending other international organizations and organizations that have reached, maybe US-based, but have far reaches beyond that. So again, thrilled to have you all part of this. Here's a list of the participating organizations. I think this is fairly up to date. I apologize in advance if I left off your organization, but I'm going to double check it. I will be sending out a list of the team captains and the organizations with contact information. So if you want to reach out and connect with another organization, idea or something like that, that you will be able to. So I want to go over just here's some key dates. One of the things you'll notice as we're going through this work plan is the next 6 to 6 weeks are going to be a little heavier in planning for team captains or for the committees at your organizations. And then once the fundraising starts, really you're going to serve as a coach and cheerleader to support writers. And if you've done some planning in the early weeks, and I'm not talking about overwhelming amount, but if you've taken the time to kind of get your ducks in a row, then you're really going to spend the bulk of the time during the fundraising campaigning serving as a coach and a cheerleader to your writers. Perhaps you're going to be doing fundraising yourself as a writer, and a lot of social media messaging and emails. And if you're planning a local carousel event, that will be going on during this time too. And so I know already that there's somebody has a carousel event planned for February 18th. So as we go through and talk through the work plan, you'll probably want to make some additions based on your own individual needs. Some organizations have lots of experience, some are newer to fundraising, and all of that is okay. While Global Genes, we stated before that our goal, our possible dream is to facilitate the largest collaborative fundraiser for rare disease. And just as equally important goal to us is to equip you with the tools for success now and in future campaigns. And if, as you're looking at your goals and you're setting your goals, and I know in talking to some of you, there's some concerns about having a goal that may be far beyond anything you've accomplished or you've raised before. And there's no penalty for not meeting your goal if along the way you're also learning and building some new skills and hopefully being better equipped to fundraise in the future, then we also have achieved what we're trying to do and in supporting you. So please, as your coach and cheerleader through this process. Some of the things that we're doing for support, so we have the Facebook group. I think there have been some challenges getting on already. If you've had trouble joining, I sent an invitation to all of the team captains. If you've had trouble joining, what seems to be the biggest challenge is if the email address that you use for work is not the same one you use for Facebook, and lots of people use a different email for Facebook or a personal email, it won't let you join through that. You just need to send me your personal email or the one you use for Facebook, and I'll send you a new invitation to join that you will access through that email. We have limited, this is a private group, you can't find it if you search for it. We would like to limit to team captains. If you're working closely with someone in your organization and you'd like them to have access to this group as well, please just email me and I can add them. I encourage you to check it weekly for updates, new ideas. This is support for each other, so ask questions, share answers, and share your successes. Others may be able to answer you, and Amy Grover and I will also be monitoring this and adding our ideas or solutions. We're uploading resources to this page for reference, but I will always send important information via email as well. I recognize that not everybody is on Facebook every day, and so this will hopefully, I uploaded, anyone who saw it yesterday, some of the shareables that I'm going to show you today that are going to be available in other places as well. I uploaded them. I was actually testing it out to see how it could do it, but they're on there. So if you don't want to go digging through your emails and you're like, well, let me just look, maybe she's put that resource up there and you can check it out there. If you do have an immediate concern or question, then I would encourage you to call or email Amy and I directly versus going through Facebook, because although we do monitor it, we're not always on it at every moment. We're going to be sending out weekly team captain emails. The intent of these is to break down the work plan into more manageable steps. You're going to, if you've had a chance to look at the work plan I sent out or as we go through this presentation, there's a lot of information and there's new ideas that are constantly coming up. And so those weekly emails will include weekly tasks with additional ideas and some applicable resources as they relate to those tasks. We'll be sending out updated shareables and social media messaging throughout the campaign. So as we get closer to World Rare Disease Day, for example, we might send a new message that talks about riding the carousel on World Rare Disease Day. It has some important dates and deadlines, and we'll put out some tips for motivating your writers and some suggestions to writers to fundraise more. I would encourage you to forward appropriate information to your writers. Just as we're going to be sending you a weekly team captain email, I encourage you to do something similar with your writers so that you can all at once share that important information, create a distribution list, and send it out. In the Team Raiser platform, which will be available beginning in January, at the early January, and we'll talk about that in a bit, there are a lot of tools in Team Raiser that also allows you to send out, coaching emails and do some check-ins. So there's a lot of tools to make that easy. So through some of the work plan today, actually a 13 weeks till March 15th when the campaign closes, but I give everybody the week off between Christmas and New Year's in terms of tasks that you can use that as a time to rest and rejuvenate and enjoy time with your family and friends, or if you're really busy next week, you can use it as a week to catch up from what you might not be able to get through next week. We're in a week by week, or the timeline has week by week and tools and resources and some planning worksheets that we're going to talk about. It's a working document. Use tools that work for you or don't use them. Take what you need. If there's information you're looking for and it's not included, ask us. We try to anticipate a lot of the elements that we think you'll need, but every organization is unique, and you may need some more help or thought of something we didn't, and so reach out and let us know, and we'll do our best to help you out. Start with week 12. I'm not going to go through every item in the work plan. I selected some highlights from each week to discuss and show you how the work plan can work for you. I'm going to tell you right now, week 12 is the exception to what I just said. I am going to go through everything in week 12. That's a countdown. That starts next week. Or starts on Monday. So first thing, join the Rare Carousel Possible Dreams. There's the information to do it. Set weekly meetings with your staff or volunteers who will be assisting your campaign. This is really important to figure out and help set expectations for what you can accomplish and be realistic. I know in speaking to some of you, you may be the sole driver of this campaign, and you can do it. It is manageable. But if you don't have support from staff, volunteers, or board members, then when looking at some other things that are suggested, like, hey, maybe you want to do this or you want to do that, be realistic about what you can take on individually. If you have a group together, then get them together and have them participate in reviewing the work plan. Take some time over next week, go through the work plan, add items to it as applies to you if you're doing a local event, for example. Delete things that don't work for you, make notes. And spend some time, if you can, filling out the best practice worksheets and the staff assignment plan. And so I'm going to go over those a bit. So there's 5 different best practices that we include in here. So obviously for an online campaign, social media is a huge part of it and a part of peer-to-peer fundraising. Now, most of your writers are going to do the bulk of that fundraising by reaching their connections. So they're going to use their social media and their personal networks and their emails. But you also be using social media to help them, to thank donors, to recruit new writers. You can continue to add writers, you'll see as we talk through this throughout the process, and raise awareness. So think about, what's available to you. About social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter. Most of you have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, not all. Some have all 5 of the ones listed, some have different ones. If it's probably not the time to decide that you're going to start a Twitter account and share messages on Twitter, you can. But, just keep in mind that there are some followers already. So you might focus your efforts on things where you already have an existing following. You want to look at what your key messages are specific to your possible dream. So we provide some suggested messaging for Rare Carousel participation in the social media section of the toolkit that you can use as a starting point. But you have very unique dreams, and you'll want to craft some messages around that possible dream. And what you want people to do, if your initial messaging is going to go out and ask people to become a writer from your team, then you might want to make your message say that. If you're asking people a little bit later along when the fundraising platform is up to donate now, then you want to consider, besides the donate now message, is a dollar amount that represents an impact. For example, customizing a wheelchair. What's the cost to customize a single wheelchair, and is that a reasonable number that people might donate? Sometimes people are motivated to donate a certain level of funding based on the idea that they are helping a child with something very specific. Once they go to the donate page, don't have to donate that specific amount. It helps people. So you just want to start thinking about those for your messaging. Do you have a staffing plan? Who runs your social media campaign? Again, for some of you, that you are one and all for that. Others of you might have somebody who does your social media. Make sure you have the passwords would be the biggest suggestion there. As sometimes one person has been doing it and you go in or step somebody else in, and make sure you have access to that. Provide shareables and sample messaging. You may want to look at, do you need to do anything else internally to have that accessible to you to design different things in-house, or you need to bring in a volunteer to help you craft messaging. So you just want to think through this and use what works for you. For the document piece, consider what your board composition is and how likely they are to participate. So be realistic when you're going to set a goal for them. But there is a role for everyone. If your goal is, or if your board is heavily involved, they might consider getting a percentage of them to be writers. Maybe they would prefer to write a check. Maybe there's one or two board members who would like to commit to a certain amount, but they want to see it matched. So, the first dollars raised by team members, they're then going to tip in their donation, and you can use as a motivating factor. Maybe they can just reach out to people for you. Can they make calls or the other donor engagement strategies? Can they invite somebody notable to be one of your writers? Think about what connections they have and what they have to offer. If you're going to have a local carousel event, do you want them to be at it? How can they share existing social media accounts and link up with yours and share? Other communications and marketing strategies. Remember, you're raising awareness overall, so maybe they'll share a brief article about what your organization is doing in a newsletter at their place of business. Other and strategies. Do they have connections to support like a give back night at a restaurant? You could, go out, gather families from the neighborhood, or, supporters, friends of the organization from the neighborhood, encourage people to go eat at a restaurant and give money back to the campaign, for example. Connections there. Maybe they work for a company that makes custom water bottles or T-shirts, or they own a restaurant and they could give you some prizes or incentives for your writers, so that you can say to your writers, the first, when you reach your first $500, you get a prize. So just be creative and think about it, and don't stress too much about getting in there, but just to kind of stimulate you thinking and being creative. Judgment. So basically, just again thinking about you're going to be reaching out. You're ideally going to reach new donors and new supporters through writers, because they're going to be reaching out to different of their networks. But, you could also get new donors by maybe doing a news story in your local paper, and by thanking donors. If sometimes people see that someone I know was thanked, they made a donation, why was that important to them? So encourage writers to be recognizing their donors in real time through social media by sending them thank you emails, which again is all supported through the team participant platform on TeamRaiser. But also, as an organization, you should prepare to thank people, because some people will donate to the organization in general versus a specific writer. Following March 15th, you are going to be providing with the money that you raised a complete donor list. So think ahead of how you might recognize those donors. Can you recognize them on your website? Do you have a newsletter scheduled? Will you make calls, personal notes? The Festival of Children Foundation is the fiscal sponsor, so when somebody makes a donation, they will automatically get a taxed receipt from Festival of Children. You have an opportunity to thank them again in a lot of different ways, but you will not have to provide them the tax donation letter. What resources do you need to implement? We talk to a lot of foundations who maybe are donor management platforms or a way to track people who donate, others who don't. So if you have one, you may already know what to do with this. If you don't have a donor management platform, or you haven't done fundraising before, sometimes thinking about how you're going to track donors so that you stay in contact with them and you can build a relationship. So whether it's something as simple as an Excel contact information and tracking how you've reached out to them, to something more robust than that. Okay, this is where you just think beyond the financial goal. Obviously, your financial goal is $25,000 to $50,000, depending on what you're doing. What are other goals related to this campaign? Are you planning an event? And so how many, attendees do you want to have there? Your goal is to increase the number of followers on your social media. that's wonderful donors. You need to make sure that you have a system in place to measure them. So if you want to increase your followers on social media, be sure to document what your current numbers are so that you can measure success. And what tools, resources, and staff do you need to implement? Planning an event, you're probably going to need some more staff support to make that happen. Do you need money to invest in doing any of the things that you want to do in order to raise the money you're looking to raise? So just think through those things and make some notes. And again, we want you to be successful, and it's not just about the money. And so if you get new donors for the long term, that's absolutely a success as well. Tools, just want you to take a step back from social media. It includes social media, but also go beyond it. So think about other ways that you communicate with your database, with your donors, with your supporters, your families. Do you do newsletters or e-blasts? Are you planning to? Okay, I just saw your question. I'm going to answer that one second. If you going out to be in an exhibit booth, that's something during this time frame, can you go out and ask them or promote your participation in the carousel. And so just look down and think about that, how you might participate in communication strategies. Okay. Step back to one of the questions about what writers will do beyond asking for gifts and sharing about our organization. So writers are primarily, that is ultimately what they're doing. They're going to use peer-to-peer fundraising strategy where they're asking to share their story, why they're supporting this possible dream, and ask people to help them reach that possible dream by making a donation and bringing awareness. We have ideas for what your writers can do as far as an actual carousel event. This is a virtual event, so they don't technically have to write a carousel. It's sometimes easy to give a message that says, I'm going to ride a carousel 100 times. Will you donate $1 for every time I go around the carousel? But at the end of the day, nobody's checking to see how many laps they actually did around a carousel. Depending on your individual organization and where your writers live, if you're drawing your writers from your local geographic area and you have a carousel nearby in your community, we would absolutely encourage you to get your writers together on a day and go out and ride the carousel. World Rare Disease Day, February 28th, would be a great day to do that. And then they can say, I'm going to go around the carousel 100 times on February 28th, or I'm going to, ride a carousel on the date. It's a great opportunity to take pictures. You can invite local media there and raise more awareness. If your riders are spread across the country or even outside of the country, then bring them together for a whole event is going to be challenging, obviously. So then I would encourage them to pick a day. You could collectively pick a day on World Rare Disease Day or on February 15th or whatever day you choose. Maybe it's February 1st. It's the day you officially kick off fundraising, and you say, everybody go to their local mall, park. If there's a carousel nearby, it could be one of those little merry-go-round spinny at a park if they don't have a actual carousel nearby, and go out and at the same and take pictures and post on social media and raise awareness, and to get people to donate. So that's really what writers do is and share, and when they actually ride the carousel is up to your individual organization and your writers. Did that answer the question? Still confusion. I can talk to people individually, help them out with that. There is also the February 28th event in San Francisco. Thank you, Colleen. That we will be inviting representatives from each organization to attend and talk a little bit about some ideas there for where some of your writers may come into play. So let me go ahead and move through the rest of week 12, and then I do tell you it will get faster after that because I just picked out some highlights. The draft assignment worksheet, just something to reference if you'd like to use. So we're on week 12. I want you to begin your identification and recruit writers if you haven't already done this. Think of organization, staff, volunteers, board members, families, existing donors. Maybe there's a physician who, is the physician who works with patients with the rare disease organization you're working with. Ask if they'll participate. They don't all have to be located together. They can be anywhere. If you have, there's the community I live in, there's a local blogger. She has a really good big following, and she's a child with diabetes. And so every year she dedicates and does an awareness piece in her blog to fundraise for the organization. And so perhaps there is a local blogger, news, something in your neighborhood that you are may not be personally connected with the disease, but is connected with you or your somebody connected with the organization and is willing to be a writer to raise awareness and money for this cause because she's been inspired by talking to you. So the list of possible writers is really limitless. I put together just a sample recruitment letter that you could use to help as talking points on a call with somebody, to asking them to participate, or if you wanted to talk to them and then do a follow-up email. It explains a little bit about the partnership and why your organization is participating, tells them specifically about the dream, and it does explain that they'll be using an online funding platform to reach out to achieve the personal fundraising goal. Do I have a carousel? Not necessarily. It's virtual, but I would encourage you to have thought about already what you want to do and add information if you're going to ask people to do anything else. Actually writing a carousel. I gave you a little sample of a team roster. The most important thing I wanted to point out here is to collect people's social media names when you are getting their contact information, because that will help your organization share and retweet their posts related to the Rare Carousel. Okay, for week 12, do discuss if your organization is going to be planning a local carousel event. I'm going to go through some ideas for that I actually end up talking about, but do consider what's the location of your writers and the accessibility to a carousel in your community. What are your goals for a local event? And based on your goals, what are the costs to implement an event? Do you have a budget? If you choose to do a local event, that funding does come from your own organization. You absolutely can do something very low or no cost. If you want to do something more, there are fees associated with that, you need to plan for that. And do make sure you have a committee to support you and you have who you want to invite. Here are some of those ideas for hosting a local carousel event. I think I went through them by and large in my earlier answer. No carousels near you. Host a carousel themed gathering at your organization. Make some cute little cupcakes that have the different horses on them or different the characters that you find on a carousel. Maybe invite some of the writers or board members, local people, and tell them about the event and invite the media. And so you can do something just cute and simple and still do a great job at linking that carousel thing. If your writers or organization is near a carousel, taking a picture is a great opportunity because it gives you new content to share with potential donors. And so that's one of the benefits of it. Okay, so moving through, you now are through Christmas. We've given you a week off, so hopefully you're well relaxed, and now we're moving right into the beginning of January. So at this point, I want you to start make sure you're telling people, add a teaser, save the block, block to your website or any outgoing newsletters. If you're going to do a local event and you've set the date, start telling people about it. I'm going to show some of the shareables that we have available. And as I said, we will be sending updated shareables, Facebook frames, so your writers can put their personal picture, child's picture in it and use it as an icon on Facebook. And we'll do some new messaging, again, to keep it fresh and new so that you can share that with your writers as well. We will be issuing a press release on January 3rd. All of the participating organizations will be listed as participating. At that point, send a template to your organizations if you'd like to personalize it for your organization and send it out to local media or use it as an e-blast to your community and let them. We'll take out some of the specifics about Global Genes and Festival Children and give you kind of, insert your possible dream here, insert a quote from your executive director, that kind of thing. And then start to think about who will represent your organization at the Rare Carousel event in San Francisco. Organizations are invited to attend. We're planning on 2 guests roughly from each organization. If you invite more particularly located in the Bay Area or your family board members that rides are, let us know, and I think we can extend an invitation to them as well. If you travel to the Carousel event, again, is on your own, and so we recognize that not everybody will be able to make it. If you, again, think about who might be able to represent you, maybe there is somebody who lives in the San Francisco area who could attend on behalf. We'll make sure that every organization, whether they send a representative or not, is represented. So it means that we, whether we'll use one of our special guests, board members, celebrity ambassadors, or a leader in the community and ask them to wear a badge with your organization's name or perhaps a T-shirt if you have one. Patient contacted me, and I don't know without looking if she's on here or not. If you have do you have a budget perhaps to send somebody, depending on where you're located, to San Francisco, but maybe because it's Rare Disease Day and Rare Disease Week and you need to be in DC instead, you could consider using it as an incentive to send for your top writer or the first writer who raises a certain amount of money or something like that. So just something for you to consider if that works for you. Came in is the press release to the media. Yes, the press release will go out on PR Wire, so it goes nationally to all on the wire. So that's where all major news pulls their stories from. And so even if it goes on that, so an organization might be based in Oklahoma City, a local reporter might see the entire press release and then say, oh, there's an organization here locally that I'd want to talk to, who's involved in it. And so that message will get out a larger audience. Okay. The San Francisco event. The San Francisco event is primarily designed as a celebration and an awareness activity for rare disease day and the Carousel event on the West Coast, basically. So it is at a Carousel. It's at the Children's Creativity Center in San Francisco. It will be a cocktail party. We're expecting 100 plus guests, including our organizations. There will be Nicole Boyce, our executive director and CEO, will be speaking and talking about the impact of rare disease on a global scale. Sandy Segerstrom-Daniels, who is the executive director of the Festival Children Foundation, will be talking about our partnership. There may be some entertainment. We're still working on some of the details. And there will be information about all of the organizations represented. I think given the number of organizations that are participating, we're probably looking at putting together some boards that would be around the room so that people could read out each dream and each organization. Following some of the opening remarks and some cocktail party time. Everyone in attendance will go to the carousel, which is on the property, and will pile on and ride the carousel and take photos. And if you are there for your organization, I would encourage you to make sure you have your passwords for social media and are posting from there, because it's a great time to do some fundraising for the organization. So while the focus is not a fundraising event, it is a great opportunity to build on that, and it is hopefully giving great awareness. And they have 2 more weeks of fundraising after that. So if you're not in attendance or you've done done some other activities, you can share that out with your writers, and they can use those images to promote fundraising. So the actual location, again, of the February 28th event is the Children's Creativity Museum, Creativity in San Francisco. It is on 4th Street. I do not have the exact address off the top of my head, but I will send it out. And children will be able to attend the event in San Francisco as well. It's on February 28th, which is a Wednesday. It'll be from 6 to 8:30 at night. Okay, so let me just go back to these digital shareables. I'm just giving you a couple of examples here of some things that we're using. We'll be putting all of these into a Google Drive so that you'll be able to download them and then share them out and make them accessible to your writers as well. And any new ones that we add will be there as well. So I want to make sure I've answered all the questions that came in, and I think I'm up to date. Okay, so then we're on to week 10. This week, we actually are a little bit earlier than we expected. We are going to have the Team Raiser platform ready to hand off to the team so they can start creating their pages. We'll pre-populate your organization's page with a basic template about your possible dream, and we'll go in and update it. So you'll have something to work from to begin with, but which you can take or leave. You can delete it all, or you can build on it. But that's how we'll have them up there. We'll give you additional technical assistance at that point, show you how to set up the Team Raiser platform and all the tools available on it. The Raiser platform is designed to help you be successful at fundraising. And so there are participant centers that have templates of sample email language that people can update. You can import class lists. You can share the links directly to social media platform. So this is all going to support both you and your writers. Once your team has done their page, then you're going to support your writers in developing their personal fundraising pages. So you will need to give them some stuff like your logo, information about your organization, and a brief write-up about the possible dream. But then we want them to build on that and make sure that they're telling their personal story, showing personal photos. Because again, people donating are largely going to connect with the person asking them to donate. And so they'll want to customize their personal page. They can change it as they go on throughout. And then we will also be sharing with you a fundraising toolkit that you will forward to your writers. It gives them some ideas for fundraising. It encourages them. It will give them some shareables that they can use and some social media messaging as well that's targeted more towards the individual writer. And it also has some ideas in there about them hosting local events, maybe beyond a carousel event. So something as simple as, a bake sale. Maybe they want to get their kids involved, or they have work with a Girl Scout group and they want to do something like a bake sale. And if they can make a couple $100 at that bake sale and goes towards their campaign, or overall fundraising campaign, that's fantastic. Or maybe they have a garage sale or anything, and at the same time they're sharing and bringing greater awareness to rare disease and your specific organization. So that will happen in early January. Now, this is just a screenshot of what the page looks like on there. So you'll see there's a button for forming a team, there's a button for joining a team, and there's a button to donate. And then there's additional information about the team, about Global Genes and the Rare Carousel overall that goes underneath. Then once you go through and you have formed a team, you'll have a direct link or URL to both your organization's team and to the writers page so that you can share those out. I came through. Is the percentage that donors have to pay to donate? In other words, what is Team Raiser's service processing fee? Is there an option for the donor to pay that cost? Some platforms are so pricey. So you're right. This platform, I don't know the percent that this platform normally charges, but where of Children Foundation is paying the cost of the platform. That's part of their contribution to this partnership. The only fees that come out of the donation, so if somebody donates, for every $1 they donate, you get 100% of that minus the credit card fee, which I believe is 3.3%. So it's basically all money minus 3.3% for credit card. There's no other donor platform or a platform cost. Donate, go to general donations. When you click on the donate, it will ask you if you want to donate to a specific search writer, search for a team, so they can make a donation to that specific. Speaking to Seth Children Foundation, who has done this before, they will end up with some general donations, and then what they end up doing is asking the organizations, does anybody know this person? It's not the ideal way to do it. They really encourage everyone, when you're sharing anything on social media or emails, is to use the URL from the platform so that people, when they click on it, will go directly to you. But people don't, and they go to donate. They will search for either a team or a writer, and if they do make a general donation, and you know that they did that, someone said, oh, I made it and it didn't show up on the right page, if you let us know, we tell Festival of Children and they can reassign it. So some ways they've dealt with that in the past. Okay, I'm getting a little less hefty duty here, because a lot of what you'll see in the one that you're looking on is this point, you're turning into the cheerleader and coach. So really basically making sure, are we all checked? Have I done everything, and are we ready to go? But do also think about how you're going to thank donors both during the fundraising campaign and after. Again, I mentioned that before on the donor engagement best practice. So make sure you kind of have your plan. It's great to shout outs on social media during the campaign. If it's a large donation from someone, you might consider calling them during the campaign and not waiting, 6, 8, 12 weeks afterwards, and work with your writers to have them, let you know if a donation comes in and they need, sort of a little extra acknowledgement for somebody. So 22nd, and technically at this point you could have started fundraising if your team has everyone already set up and ready to go. Officially, we're going to launch February, and I'll talk about that in a second, but if people are ready, you can start to implement your communication plans. Send a newsletter, an e-blast to your database, tell them about the organization's campaign, and now you can direct them to the team fundraising page. So it'd be a great time to consider maybe featuring some personal stories for writers that are stories on the writers and why they chose to get involved. This may actually encourage more individuals to join your team as a writer, which they can do. So people can just donate to your team, or they can join as a writer, and then they can be sending out messages to their network and getting people to donate. So questions that came through, just consider someone associated with an organization may go to the general donation instead of the team page. I think this came in as I was answering, so hopefully I answered that before. So that the way it's set up is Global Genes is the overall page. So none of the money is going to disappear the donations. If somebody came and they gave to a rider and they gave to your organization instead, you're still going, the money is still associated with your organization, whether it's a donation specific to your organization or to a rider. If it comes in on a general donation, we'll be working with the organizations to figure out who to allocate that donation to. Festival of Children has done this before, and they said it happens every time, and they engage the organizations to say, does anybody know this? I mean, there is a risk that there is we didn't know who donated, it went to general funding, or it went to Global Genes instead of to a team, and then we'll have to look at what that dollar amount is if that's a concern, and figure out how we would divide that. You know, if it's a $10 donation, you know, dividing amongst the teams probably isn't really make sense to. If it's a larger amount, that's something we could consider. Ashley, I think you sent through a question about could it be anonymous? A donor can show as anonymous on, I believe it's anonymous. They don't have to have their name show anywhere, but they would have to have somewhere on the back end, they have to give their name in order to make the payment. They'll never truly be anonymous as a donor. They'll get a tax receipt, and we'll have that list from payment. So I don't believe they could do an anonymous. If they wanted to truly do an anonymous donation, they would probably have to mail cash, honestly, I don't know exactly, to Festival of Children without a return address and just say assign it. So a person who asked about the anonymous, if there's a specific concern about that, if you expand, let me know. Can we get their contact info before the end of the campaign so we can communicate about them throughout the campaign? I don't believe so, because of just the way that donations are coming in and the workload on Festival of Children staff to produce that donor list as it's going on. But your riders will receive notification of who's donating to their page, and you as an organization will receive notification that a donation's been made. So I don't know that these are great questions, and I'm going to find out more about the platform to see. And so hopefully I'll be able to get you those answers like the first week of January to know specifically what kind of contact information you'll have through it. I think you have just an email address and their name at that point. Okay, let me go to some of these. Is there a recurring donation option in the registration for the event? I don't believe so. But I'm sure, and I will find out. If somebody wants to be anonymous for public purposes, they can be anonymous. They click the box that says "Don't show my name," or it's okay to show my name, or it's not okay to show my name. So they can keep private. And we have a number of people raising funds for various purposes using our own tools. Some of these folks are interested in participating here because of the bigger effort with social media, generate and also the potential of matching. So with people raising. So I'm not really sure what the question is there. So if the question is, can they become writers and use this platform? Absolutely. I think I would encourage them for the length of this campaign to use this platform for their Carousel event. I may need to talk to you offline, Colleen, because I think various purposes, I'm not sure if that means they have different goals. It's not towards the possible dream, and that could be an issue. Let's talk offline about that one. Let me just say, the money raised through the Carousel of Possible Dreams and the Team Riser platform should go to your possible dream. If you exceed your goal and you want to add to it, that's fantastic. If you don't meet your goal and you have to modify your dream, and that's okay too. But that's where the funding should primarily be focused on going. Okay, back to this work plan real quick and continue moving through, but I love all the questions. Thank you so much. So week 8, again, I think I already did this one. Let me pass through, excuse me. Down to week 7. So we're officially launching now. And again, you may be a couple weeks in fundraising at this point, but at this point, make a real push on social media platforms, send encouraging emails to your writers, grab a group and visit your local carousel to kick things off. Even if it's people from around your neighborhood who aren't even writers, bring them, take some pictures, and then share it on social media. Put a link to your team's fundraising page or your individual page in everything you do. That's really going to be a key in making sure that the donations get to the right place from start versus figuring it out later. Amp up social media posts. Follow the social media accounts of your writers and share and retweet their posts. That's why you collected them when you identified your writers. 9 board members. At this point, this is a good time of any commitment that we made. Outreach, sending emails, donating. This is a great time to let them know. 6, now you're going to start being that cheerleader. Check in with your writers regularly. Encourage them to reach out to their networks more than once for a donation. Some need a gentle reminder. People get emails, bombarded by emails all the time. They may see it the first time and go like, oh, this is great, I want to donate to it, but at the time they don't have their credit card nearby. And you encourage your writers to send those emails again and again, but to change them up. Just wanted to let you know that to date I'm halfway to my goal, and so thankful for the people who supported me. This is what that means. Will you consider making a donation and continue that? So help out with that. Okay, check in with your writers regularly. Here's an idea, and again, we're going to send you more of these ideas as it goes through. Maybe this week you give them a challenge. Please send 10 emails each day or share an update on social media. Continue to offer suggestions to help them succeed. You don't want to, one of your writers, they get on, they're all excited, they get on their participant center, they use all the tools on there, they send things out on February 1st, and then they don't do anything again. They might get a few donations that first day, but they have to keep doing it and keep it going to be as successful as they could be. Okay, week 4, again, check in with your writers and be active on social media. If you're doing a local event, this is probably the time during this month of February where you're going to need to add some to-dos to your work plan. In the work plan that was handed out, there's a couple other things listed, but generally speaking, really what we're going to be pushing out to you this time are ways to support your writers, and that's what you should be doing as well. To week 3, we talk about attending the Carousel event and sharing their attendance on social media. Make sure you have access to posts on social media from the event or whoever you send, or have in plan a way for them to send you posts. If you, for example, have a writer who's attending and maybe you don't want to give them direct access to your social media accounts as an organization, have them set up a way to send you pictures or whoever is going to be posting so you can get that out there. All the writers on Rare Disease Day to make an ask in honor of Rare Disease Day. It's a great reason to share information about the rare diseases, specific organization, and the disease, and to ask for support. And it's it's a great impact day and really important, and sort of low pressure in that it can pressure ask, and that it can be framed around so many other amazing things happening that day and bringing awareness. If you're doing a local event on that day, you'll obviously want to be sharing that as well. Into week 2, or the final countdown here. Some of your writers might be feeling like they're burning out or they're bothering their networks with posts and emails. Help them, giving them some new material for them to use and keep them excited. Do shout outs for the writers on your social media, recognizing what they've done and the impact that they're making And just, again, continue to encourage them. Final week, your final push. Make a final push on social media. Send a blast to your database asking for their support. Include status of fundraising to date and impact their donation will make. If you have reached your goal, make your goal bigger and keep on asking right up to the final day. Following Carousel, celebrate your success, get rest, and implement your donor and writer thank you plans. This, don't want to lose people at this point. You may not have the contact information right away, and so as soon as you get that, you'll want to be ready to go. And then make sure to send out an update to everyone involved of the results, and then later plan to send out an update on the impact of your possible dream. If your dream was to buy specialized equipment for children, when you buy that equipment, get some pictures and get it out to everyone and the donors and supporters and writers, and let them know what a difference they made. If you're holding a family meetup, when you have that, share the pictures, obviously to the extent that you can. Any concerns about privacy and things like that, but it's really important that people see the impact that they've made. Okay. Let me some more questions. I wonder all to date that have come in. Are there other questions? And Ashley, should open the lines for people if they want, or should I keep doing it by Q&A?
I would recommend still doing it by Q&A, but if there are, one can mute themselves if there is going to be any background noises. Just for those that are connecting with us via phone, I can unmute everyone real fast.
So before you do that, let me just explain something again, and this has been a really confusing thing. So the writer, a team, or a member of a team. So your organization is a team, so you are the team captain. All of the writers are going to join your team, and they will be a member of your team. So if people join, it gets a little bit confusing on the platform itself, on the Team Raiser platform. But once your team is formed, it'll make a little bit more sense. Your team is formed, and then people will be able to join. You invite them actually from the platform and say, join my team. And so you can send that to all the writers you've identified already. You can also send it out to people you haven't identified as writers and invite them to join. And then they say, okay, I joined the team, and they set up a personal fundraising page, and they show up as one of your team members. So they have and your team page. Okay, I'm going to do two more if anybody wants to ask other questions. If they want to ask on the air now.
Yeah, let me go ahead and unmute everyone. So if anyone has any questions, you'll all be unmuted, so you can go ahead and ask, especially for our callers on this webinar. If you are in an area with a lot of back noise, though, and you do not have a question, we ask that you just mute yourselves on your end so that we can still hear everybody.
Okay. There was a question about how much Global Genes is going to be pushing out through social media. So we're going to be doing regular, I think the question is on social media or emails and the e-blasts and things like that. We're going to be pushing out information as well about the campaign as a whole, and we will be listing all of the participating organizations and their dreams. So our website, for example, will be finished right now. It lists all the it says Carousel Possible Dreams. It lists the organizations that are participating. As soon as we have your fundraising page set up, we'll be including links. We'll be constantly sort of keeping the Rare Carousel as this event out in the world, in the rare disease world. We won't be, and we may acknowledge, like, this team, that awesome first, foundation, to raise $1,000, or they're off to a great start. We'll be trying to do those. We'll be able to put out the links to every organization and fundraiser, just because of the number of them. We'll be pushing out, if that question was about what we'll be pushing out to the teams, our contact is each week, and perhaps more often, if not just week, not admittedly, if not more often, we'll be putting out information to the team captains to share and encourage. So, each week we'll try to think of, ideas to encourage the team captains that they can also share with their riders. I
just sent two questions over to Meredith.
We're in those through.
All right. One question that came in is, what is the confidence level for getting a match for this campaign through Global Genes?
Call this morning, which we've asked individually already, and we've talked to corporate alliance members as well today. So what I would say at this point, I guess to be fair, 50-50. I think we're still actively working on it, and the best I can answer right now.
Great. Question that came in through the chat. In addition to the shareable graphics, can we use Global Genes and the Festival of Children's logo in our own graphics? If so, can you share these logos? The question come in, we have large international support. Does Team Raiser accept international donations?
Yes, it does.
Perfect. And then came in, will there be a default group? Where would the money go?
If there's,
yes.
it is right now. So since all the organizations are underneath Genes, if people don't go team page or a writer page, which is associated with a team page, then the money would go to Global Genes. Try to figure out where the donation was meant to go.
Another question came in. The question about pushing was to the world. So how are we benefiting from being a... hang on, let me go ahead.
You want to, just mute.
Yes, let me go ahead. Okay. The question was pushing out to the broader world. So how are we benefiting from being part of this bigger issue rather than on our own?
Yeah, so we'll be pushing out throughout the month of February, even before, the fact that we're bringing groups together to work collaboratively, to learn from each other, to bring greater awareness to rare disease overall, and doing our own media and marketing. For example, the press release, looking to get stories written. We have our media team working on it. We have an outside public relations firm that we use. We have an internal marketing department that will be working on it as well. And Festival of Children Foundation they also work with a PR firm. So we're all working collectively to create messaging and get, large or larger stories written about their carousel and the organizations that are participating with it.
Great. We haven't had any other questions come in, but I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone. So if there's anyone who is calling into our webinar, this will give you a chance to also ask any questions. Again, if you do not have a question and you have any back noise, if you can go ahead and mute yourself. So hang tight 1 second and everyone be unmuted. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you. This is Monica. Well, then, thank you guys for putting this together. It's really well organized.
Thank you, Monica.
No, I'm excited because I think a few years back, y'all had the being rare. I think y'all had done with the group, and that was the first year that we were an organization, and we ended up through the efforts of that, which was a similar program, we ended up raising $18,000 in less than 24 hours on that day. So, yeah, so I really am excited about this, and I encourage all the organizations that are on that's never participated. If you really follow what they're doing and kind of their marketing strategies, you're going to be successful and bring in some money. So I'm really excited about this.
I appreciate your support, Monica, and I will tell you that all of the team here has been working and trying to have everything we possibly can, and so I know we'll be adding lots of information, and so thank you all in advance for your patience with us too, and giving us feedback about things that you need so we can develop an even, stronger support programs moving forward and hopefully the tools you need to be successful. So if there are questions, and if there are, feel free to scream out real quickly here. Then I will thank you all so much for participating and listening to me talk for a while there. You'll get your first team captain email on Monday. I encourage you to reach out to myself or to Amy Grover if you have any questions or would like to talk through some things that are specific to your organization or anything like that. And we look forward to working with you. Wonderful rest of the day, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.